OpenClaw just cut a fresh release, v2026.4.20, and it is a chunky one. 81 commits since the last stable 5 days ago. Moonshot Kimi K2.6 is the new default. Session hygiene is locked down. A full security hardening pass. A plugin infrastructure rewrite, and a handful of breaking changes worth knowing about before you upgrade. If you are running OpenClaw in production, this one matters. Let's break it down. Quick framing for anyone new to the project. OpenClaw is a personal single-user AI assistant, the one you run on your own machine, talk to through WhatsApp or Telegram or Slack or iMessage, or any of the 15-plus messaging channels it supports, and keep running as an always-on gateway on port 18789. Node.js 24 ships as a single NPM global, multi-agent routing, voice wake words, a live canvas workspace. It is the opposite of a hosted SaaS. You control the credentials, the storage, and the models. This release is the biggest content drop since v2026.4.15 5 days ago. 81 commits between the two tags. Two big headline features: tiered model pricing with Kimi K2.6 as the default, and enforced session hygiene to stop the gateway from running out of memory under long sessions. Plus, a security hardening pass that closes several workspace takeover vectors, and a plugin infrastructure rewrite that reshapes how bundled dependencies resolve. Let's start with the hero feature. Tiered model pricing now flows from cached catalogs all the way through to the configured models. Per-turn cost snapshots freeze at the turn boundary, so they no longer compound across turns. In practice, that means when you run an agent command, you see the real dollar cost for that turn, not a running total that keeps climbing as the session grows. Kimi K2.6 is the new default for the Moonshot provider, with K2.5 kept as a compatibility fallback. Kimi K2.6 is also the only model where thinking keep all is allowed. On every other model, with a pinned tool choice, that flag gets stripped automatically. Second headline feature, session hygiene. If you have run OpenClaw for more than a week, you have probably seen the gateway start eating memory over long sessions. That is fixed by default in this release. Built-in entry cap and age pruning. Oversized store pruning at load time. You do not flip a setting for any of this, it is just on. The gateway also now delays its HTTP bind until the WebSocket handlers are attached, which closes a tiny race condition where early requests could arrive before the full routing was ready, and auto-sourced overrides for model, provider, and auth now clear on /new and /reset, so state no longer leaks between conversations. Release notes are up on GitHub, full changelog, contributor list, and asset downloads. It is a dense page. 81 commits means a wall of bullets. The key categories to scan are the model and pricing section, the session and gateway stability section, the security hardening block, and the breaking changes at the bottom. Do not skip the breaking changes. There are 6 of them in this release, and at least 2 require action if you have downstream integrations. If you want the raw changelog, the markdown file is in the main branch at changelog.md. It is over 6,000 lines long, so GitHub's blob renderer truncates. Use the raw URL if you need exact phrasing. The release itself was cut by Stipet, with contribution commits from 50-plus engineers including Patrick Erickson, Omar Shahine, Ayoshavant, Aninja, Abulatmuf, and the wider community. The security work is worth a dedicated section. OpenClaw star environment variables are now blocked from loading out of untrusted workspace.env files. That closes the main workspace takeover vector, where a cloned repo could poison your runtime config. First, TDIO MCP servers, node options, and Minimax API host are blocked as environment overrides, which stops process injection and host hijacking via the MCP transport. Blue bubbles upload C2C media, and upload group media now route through the SSRF guard, so iMessage media uploads cannot be used to probe your internal network. And non-admin paired devices now only see their own pairings. No enumeration of other devices on the same gateway. Gateway mutation guards got expanded to cover sandbox, plugin trust, auth, TLS, hooks, SSRF, MCP, and file system paths, essentially every sensitive control plane surface the gateway exposes. If you are running OpenClaw on a shared machine, or in any environment where untrusted repos get cloned into your workspace, this release is a must upgrade. The workspace takeover vectors it closes were real, and would have been reachable from any malicious .env file you accidentally sourced. Small but important behavior change on the QA side. The OpenClaw QA suite and OpenClaw QA Telegram commands now exit non-zero on any scenario failure. Previously, they would write artifacts and return 0 even if some scenarios failed. New default is strict. If you want the old behavior, maybe you are running these against a flaky network and want the artifacts regardless. There is a new allow failures flag that restores the permissive mode. This matters for CI pipelines that pinned on 0 exit codes. Worth updating those workflows before you bump the image. 6 breaking changes worth knowing about. 1. Embedded Pi compaction lifecycle events are renamed to compaction start and compaction end to align with Pi coding agent 0.66.1. Any downstream hooks listening on the old names need to update. 2. Bundled Kimi thinking now defaults to off and Anthropic compatible thinking payloads are normalized, so set thinking explicitly if you depend on it. 3. Runtime cron state moves out of jobs, or JSON into a new job state.json file. Do not commit job state JSON to Git. 4. The QA default we just covered. 5. OpenAI completions transport overrides on default OpenAI, and codex hosts are forced back to native codex responses transport. And 6. The GitHub Copilot default model is now Claude Opus 4.6. None of these are catastrophic, but read the release notes before you bump. Worth calling out the community side. This release was cut by AstiPete, Peter Steinberger, the maintainer, with contributions from more than 50 engineers across the release. The OpenClaw README opens with the tagline, "Your own personal AI assistant, any OS, any platform, the lobster way." And that community energy is what has kept the project shipping at a 4 to 5 day cadence through all of April. v2026.4.20 is already the 4th stable release this month. Whatever you think of the pace, OpenClaw is shipping faster than almost any other self-hosted agent project right now. That is v2026.4.20. Run npm install-g OpenClaw at latest to upgrade. Skim the release notes for the breaking changes. Update any CI pipelines that depended on the old QA exit codes, and you are good. The upgrade itself is non-disruptive for most users, but the 6 breaking changes at the bottom of the release notes are worth a 5-minute read before you bump. If this breakdown helped, subscribe. We cover every OpenClaw release as it ships, usually within hours of the tag, plus the broader Claw ecosystem drops, and Claude code releases as they land. Release notes and full changelog link in the description. See you in the next one.